So today I'm going to show you how to create a Halloween mask. We're going to take some simple masks from the mask shop here. I think it's like $1 for this thing and like $3 or $4 for this thing. And we're going to convert them from just plain old like a white plastic and then a black vinyl into the creation that you see here. Kind of a post-apocalyptic creature here going on. So stick around, we'll show you how it's done. All right, so let's talk about some of the things that you're going to need to complete this project. Now, obviously, you're going to need the mask. And if you wanted to, like what I've already done with this is put some screen in the eyes. So if you want some sort of screen or mesh in there, you'd want to get some of that. This is just a simple aluminum screen. I don't even remember where I got it from. Just be careful, especially if you use the metals like the aluminums, because that can scratch you. This is taped up pretty well, but you know, you could use stockings like black hosiery or something like that and just glue it on the inside. That way you don't have to worry about anybody getting, you know, stabbed with a shard of metal here. That'd probably even be better. But you can hide basically a person's eyes if you want to with that. So some hosiery would be good for that. So obviously your mask, paints, I'm going to be using acrylic paints for this. Once again, I've got some metallics that I've mixed up here, but whatever colors you want to work with, there's various types of acrylic paints on the market that you can use. I use a lot of craft paints for this because they're inexpensive and they get the job done. So I got a variety of metallics here. So I got my paints and that. Paper towels, obviously you need paper towels all the time. And then just because of some of the things we're going to do here with some of the patterns, you're going to want some cardstock. Now, this is not like super heavy cardstock. It's pretty lightweight because it is somewhat pliable, but it's just a little bit thicker than just standard copy paper. But that's essentially what it is. It's just really thick copy paper or cardstock. You can get this at any office supply. It's relatively inexpensive. And so we're going to use some of that. And what I did with it is I just cut some circles into it. So I've just used different like coffee cans in different shapes, you know, round, different diameter round shapes, and just kind of cut corners here on it. And, you know, got some convex cuts here with those same. And then I saved the little scraps here, at least a couple of them, to, you know, maybe do some different things like this. And I'm going to use this as a mask. And so here's the other piece. This one I might use the corner of it because that creates kind of a cool kind of a look here if we just paint that just like that. And then here's another one. So I have both the convex and concave versions of the circles here. So we'll use those maybe. As far as your mask goes, any mask will do. This is just an inexpensive, just plastic mask. But this could also be a latex mask or a vinyl mask, whatever you want. The idea is that we're going to create kind of a robot type of a look, a mechanical type of a look here. And so that's why I put the screens in there. It kind of helps hide the eyes and give it less of a human kind of effect. But I'm not going to add anything else to it. You could certainly glue different bits of plastic and things like that on here. I'm not really going to do that with this particular project. I'm going to rely mostly on the paint to achieve the look. So let's get started with this. Oh, and the other thing you're going to need, probably the most important tool, is going to be an airbrush. Now this is probably a 30-year-old Pache airbrush, and so you'll need that. If you're not into airbrushing or just don't want it, you know, want to go to that expense, aerosol cans will work just fine. Just regular spray paint works just fine. You can use the same technique. This particular one is just a primer, but just shake the can up really good. All right, so I'm going to set this up, and I'm going to change the camera a little bit so that you get a little more of an over my shoulder kind of a thing, because I am right-handed, and so I don't want to block the view, or I'm going to try not to block the view as much as possible. All right, so we'll be right back. All right, so we're going to get started with our mask project here, and I give it a really dark gray, if not black, base coat. And so you can see the original plastic was white, and so all I did was I wiped it down with the isopropyl alcohol. Mine is a 50%. But you can put it on a rag, or you can, in my case, I have it in a little spray pump, and I just spray it on there and just wipe it down good. And what that does is remove any oils and release agents that are present on this when they pop it out of the mold. So this is a vacuum form type of configuration, so you may not have as much a release agent, but I still like to do it because you don't know how many people have handled this mask in the store. And as you can see, even where I'm handling it here, you can see some of the oils and stuff from my hands on here. Now this is not too bad because it's already on the paint. I've got a good paint base on it. As far as this base color goes, in my case, I use a Rust-Oleum automotive primer. And I really like using this because it is lacquer based, if I'm not mistaken. It certainly seems to be. And what this does is it actually builds up a little coat here. And it's a little bit of a textured coat, very mild texture to it. But it actually bites into that plastic and really holds on tight. So I like using that. But there's other primers out there on the market if you want to use something like that. So I've primed it. I like the dark gray. Like I said, it's almost black, and it's good for a metallic base. Now, what I want to do here is go ahead and start airbrushing this, and I'm going to airbrush it with kind of a titanium color. It's kind of a brownish metallic. So I start out with just a silver here, and then I added some raw umber and a couple of little browns in there just to kind of knock the shininess off of it. So it's more of a titanium or burnt aluminum kind of a look here. So we're going to shoot that through the airbrush. If you can't find this color, say in a rattle can, in a spray can, just a regular silver would do, whatever it is you want. Okay? All right, so my goal here is to give this a light coating everywhere. I don't want to completely cover this up, but I definitely want to put a little of this on here. Now I'm going to turn the mask upside down, and the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to kind of spray at this angle, and what that's going to do for me is put more paint on the highlight surfaces, like where the sun or the light would be hitting it, and all these other surfaces under the nose, under the lip, under the chin, and under the eyebrows, they're not going to get as much paint. So it's going to help give me that illusion and actually build in some shadows for me. So let's give this a shot. There we go. So that's our metal base. All right, so I have my new color mixed up in here, and basically I'm just using straight out of the tube here. This is just a silver, they call it metallic silver sterling in the Folk Art brand. And it should be a little bit brighter color than the color I already have here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to kind of very carefully do this. I'm going to prop the mask up just a little bit here. And then I want to use one of my little cutouts here. And I think what I want to do is kind of create a little, kind of like a little V shape here. Now to do this, I'm just kind of pressing this against the mask and try to get it where I want. And then I'm just going to kind of spray along this edge. So, and so it's just starting to give it a little bit of that look, like there's some kind of pattern going on there. All right, so now I have a little bit more vibrant color. This is a bit of a gold here, so I'm just going to take a scrap here so you can kind of see. So it's kind of a coppery gold. And so let's go ahead and try this again. And let's add in a little bit of that gold. Yeah, so we can start to see that. Now I'm going to try to blend some of this gold in. Now I kind of like the hard edge here, and the hard edge you get by adjusting the depth of the mask. If the mask is like right on the object that you're painting, you're going to get that hard edge. If you pull the mask away, you're going to get a softer edge, which is kind of nice. But in this case, I kind of like that. I might go back in and tweak that a little bit, but I'm going to go just feather this gold out a little further here. So now we're starting to get something here. It's looking pretty good. And let me just go ahead and add a little of this gold to some of the other areas just to kind of help tie it in. So maybe here on the bridge of the nose. Now, let's go in and start adding some more details in here. Like I said, you can use different metallic colors if you'd like. But what I'm going to do now is go back in maybe with some blacks and start adding a few more details in here. Okay, so I have a black wash that I used in an earlier video to create the wash for the little gas mask here. So I'm just going to use that same one. It's kind of an oily black. I don't necessarily like using pure black, although you could. But this is kind of an oily brown black color. So it's kind of an oily color more than anything else. So that's some of the gold that's still in my brush. And so here we're starting to get some of that black. So now you can kind of see what that color is. All right. So this will really start to make things pop. So once again, I'm going to turn it back over so I can get this angle that I'm wanting. And I'm probably going to use a fresh card here because this other one's starting to get a little bit worn. And once again, if I put this card right on the plastic, I'm going to get a harder edge. If I pull back from it, I'm going to get a softer edge. So I'm going to put it right on top of it. And I'm just going to hit it. All right, so I'm also going to put some of this, say, down part of the face, so I can kind of make like panels here. So I'm just going to take a strip of this tape, and the reason I'm going to do it is because I've got so many folds here, and I'm just going to tape it kind of right down the eye. Oops, come on. We'll try to split it right here at the eye and go right down to the corner of the mouth there. All right, like so. All right. And then let's shoot a little of this darker wash color on it. Set this aside, and you want to go ahead and get this off of here before that paint has too much time to dry. And when I peel off a mask like this, I kind of peel back like at a 45. And see, with tape, you get this really nice sharp edge. You got to be really careful. This tape can pull the paint off, so just go nice and slow with it. All right. So see, now we're starting to get that because we're building up a lot more black here. We're seeing, oh, there's the difference. Okay, very cool. Now, it looks like that just this side is a lot lighter than that side, but it's really not. It's just the play of the black that I put down there. So we're going to do this on the same thing on the other side here. Just going to kind of split the eye. so let's go for the big reveal here. So the paint's still a little bit wet. That's okay. That's exactly what we want. Just gently pull it. Gently, gently, gently. And there we go. We're getting our nice little stripe effect there. Pretty cool. All right, to also help sell this, now I've added a few more panel lines using the tape here and just painted it over. This one I got a little bit dark, but I can come back in and lighten that up a little bit. But we can start to see there's definite kind of a striations in here. But to kind of help sell this as like different little panels and such, I'm going to add maybe like some little rivets here every so often, that sort of thing. And to do that, I have an old circle template back from my graphic design days. Yes, that's right. When I started graphic design, we still did everything on art boards with pen and ink. The computer was just barely getting started there as far as a desktop publishing tool. So we still had to hand draw stuff. So I've got a lot of these old templates left over. This is a metric circle template. And what I've done is added some blue tape to it. And I just found the circle size that I want to use, and I just taped off everything else around it. And so now what I can do is just maybe come in here and add a few little rivets here. So once again, I'm going to use the dark wash color here first, and I want to add some rivets, and then maybe I'll come back in and put a little highlights on those too. So let me just put this here, and let's just say we're going to put one right about here. All right, so there we have it, our completed kind of a space mask here, if you will, kind of robotic. And the finished product here is actually going to have our gas mask from the other video here, and they're going to be worn together. So a lot of it you're not going to see. But I think that creates kind of a cool effect, at least for what my friend was looking for. And so there you have it. A nice, cool little Halloween mask. This is a couple of bucks. I think it's $1 for this and maybe $3 or $4 for this. And a little bit of paint, a little bit of time and creativity, and you can come up with a really cool Halloween mask.